This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Ron Trevino. A man accused of secretly giving a woman an abortion drug without her consent remains in the Montgomery County jail after a judge denied his bond. The woman claims the father of her baby gave her the drug without her knowledge. Ugochi Iloka explains what could come next in this investigation.
This man is now charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon causing serious bodily injury. Thomas Nixon, a defense attorney not affiliated with this case, tells us charges being upgraded really depends on what other evidence is found and who else could be involved. He says in this case, pharmaceuticals could be deemed as deadly weapons.
It depends on what the pharmacist knew when he obtained it. I would like to know how he even got the pharmacist to prescribe it in the first place. But that's going to be something the DA has to figure out.
Now, this is John Demeter in court yesterday. Video of him there. A Montgomery County Sheriff's investigator says the woman miscarried and delivered her daughter stillborn, Presley May, at a hospital near the Woodlands. Investigators say she believed Demeter had given her the abortion medication mifepristone after reportedly pressuring her to get an abortion, even offering to pay for her to get an abortion out of state. Now, she refused to do that. Attorney Thomas Nixon says a similar case played out last year in Parker County, where a man charged with capital murder allegedly poisoned his own girlfriend, causing the death of their unborn child.
They were able to get surveillance video from the coffee shop of him, I believe, putting it in her coffee. Okay, so that's how they were able to make that capital murder case in Parker County. I don't know if the same evidence is going to exist in the Montgomery County case.
Now, these are resources you see here on your screen available to any Texas women who may be in a similar situation. Center Against Forced Abortions, Thriving Texas Families Program, Texas Pregnancy Care Network, and Crisis Hotline. In the newsroom, Ugochi Iloka, KHOU 11 News.
Houston is moving closer to opening a new homeless services hub in East Downtown. City leaders have finalized the purchase of the property, clearing one of the last major hurdles before the facility can open. Devon Romming reports on what neighbors can expect.
Well, Houston leaders say this new service hub here behind me at the corner of Emancipation and Prairie isn't just about one location. They believe the plan could change how cities nationwide respond to homelessness as the city moves closer to opening the East Downtown site. The city of Houston has officially closed on the property, clearing the final hurdle for the $16 million homeless services hub. The building, previously used as housing, will be repurposed into a transitional site designed to help people living on the streets access support and stability. City officials say earlier delays tied to permitting and inspections pushed back the timeline, but the hub could now open as early as June 1st. Mayor John Whitmire says this project has also caught the attention of federal leaders.
Is convinced that we may have the best model in the United States for getting people off street and into a transitional site for holistic services, housing, food, mental health services, security. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Now, once open, the hub is expected to offer around 300 beds along with mental health and substance abuse services. City leaders say if the model proves successful, they plan to open additional hubs to move more people off the streets and into housing. Reporting here in the East End, Devon Romming, KHOU 11 News.
We're getting new reaction from the Bridgeland community after the Houston Texans unveiled new details about their plans for a brand new training facility coming to Cypress. Maria Aguilera has more on the plans.
From empty field to Texans territory, it's the new home of the new Toro District, right off Grand Parkway in Bridgeland.
Go Texans!
A ribbon cutting along with the renderings revealed an entire mixed-use district. Team headquarters, training fields, hotels, restaurants, and office space. For neighbors, the facility could soon be right in their backyard.
It's going to be sweet. I'm hoping they put a lot of good restaurants and places for us to take the kids and stuff, and maybe we get to watch the practices. Would be cool.
I was super excited, and me and my dad, we were talking about it in the car when driving to a soccer game,
and he said that the players would be there once it's made.
I think it's going to be cool. Maybe see one of the Texans players.
Officials say this could have a huge economic impact on the area.
It's a great example of partnership.
Harris County commissioners say the project could bring more than 17,000 jobs, generate $34 billion, and help drive growth in Northwest Harris County.
Our objective is to get anything you can do in downtown, you can do out here.
The county is also getting land for a new service center to keep up with the rapid growth.
Part of this deal is the county's getting land to build a services hub and community center right here in the heart of one of the fastest growing areas in the country.
The team expects to move into the new facility in 2029.
Again, that was Maria Aguilera reporting. Well, would you get into a car with no driver? Waymo officially launched in 4 markets this week, including Houston, bringing fully autonomous rides. Marcelino Benito took a spin ahead of the rollout.
Before it even moves, you can hear it thinking.
Doesn't look like your average car from the outside, right?
No, distinctively Waymo.
29 cameras, multiple radars, LiDAR, and sensors. It's how Waymo sees Houston.
This is our bread and butter of the fleet and what you're going to see here the majority of the time in Houston.
You request a ride through the Waymo app.
Our ride is only a minute away.
Before you know it, it pulls up.
Hello, Houston.
And we hop in.
What's that new car smell?
So welcome to Inside Your Waymo Experience.
With one simple tap.
I'll give you the honors of hitting start right.
I get to hit the button.
Yeah, you do.
Here we go.
It's time to hit the road. We took a short 10-minute drive with no one in the driver's seat.
It's kind of weird to see a steering wheel going around real quick without anybody controlling it, but a Waymo driver is in control.
Mark Lewis with Waymo tells us the Waymo driver is the world's most experienced, with 200 million miles logged safely. The company now providing 400,000 paid rides a week. Waymo says its vehicles are 10 times less likely to be involved in a serious crash than a human driver, a claim the company says is backed by its data.
It's a very natural drive. It's a very comfortable ride.
It almost seems natural that there's no one there.
And that's the goal, Waymo tells us.
You're here. Please make sure it's clear before exiting.
We made it.
To make Waymo the safest way to get around.
Waymo driver is really ready for anything.
But there have been issues.
Waymo run to the parade.
Viral videos have captured Waymo whoopsies on the road in other cities. Dozens ticketed in Austin for failing to yield to school buses. Out west, others stalled in severe weather.
What would you say to folks who don't trust driverless cars just yet?
Give us a chance. As we've spent 6 months really understanding Houston and the way people drive and the complexities of intersections and stuff like that, we are really ready for this day to welcome public riders.
And here's a look at Waymo's new service area. It's a 25 square mile territory, including downtown Houston and Midtown and neighborhoods like Montrose, Rice Military, and the Heights. Of course, you can find this map and a whole lot more info on how you can try Waymo for yourself on KHOU.com right now. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcelino Benito. What will they think of next? That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Ron Trevino.
I'm Cynthia Aguirre in Dallas with a look at your North Texas headlines. Time's running out to cast your early ballot in the primary election. We're less than 24 hours from the deadline. And according to the Secretary of State, 1.6 million Texans have cast a vote so far. That's nearly 9% of registered voters, well above normal turnout for a primary. But there is a candidate still on the ballot in Tarrant County despite dropping out of the race months ago. And now some other candidates tell Scoop Jefferson they're worried how it could skew the results.
You are still going to see my name on the ballot for county judge.
Congressman Mark Beasy posted this video trying to clear up why Democrat voters are seeing his name on the primary ballot. The reason? Timing and state law, according to their party chair, Allison Campolo.
We have one statewide name and one Tarrant County name, which is Andrew White for governor and Mark Beasy for county judge, who are both on the ballot. They withdrew, but it was after the deadline.
This withdrawal form shows Beasy pulling his name out of the race for Tarrant County judge. But based on a 2015 state code, the ballot had already been approved for printing and still included his name.
Well, it's concerning because it causes voter confusion.
One of the two actual candidates in the race, Elisa Simmons, says the confusion is real, hearing from voters who recognize Veazey.
I've heard from people that say, we love the work that you're doing, Commissioner Simmons, but we've always voted for Congressman Veazey.
We're all talking about it.
The other candidate, Millennium Anton Woods, says Veazey on the ballot was a surprise, but not a worry. Still urging people to vote.
I'm not really sure what the impact might be. I can kind of guess. It doesn't hurt me. I know that for sure.
Despite Veazey's video explaining his name and the Democratic Party's efforts to educate people at the polls,
fortunately, we probably will not be effective in reaching every single voter.
Campolo says it's anyone's guess what the full impact will be after early voting and after the March 3rd primary. In Tarrant County, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
We have been checking in on polling concerns across DFW. This is Collin County's first year with paper ballots. A viewer told us they received one already marked with someone's initials. When WFAA looked into it, we learned it is required for the polling location judge to have their initials on each ballot as part of election code. Officers are calling on the city of Dallas to upgrade the police academy. They told our Brittany Moncrief it is out of date and can't keep up with the need for new hires.
You might remember in 2024, voters voted for Proposition U and F. They called for Dallas to maintain 4,000 officers and support public safety facilities, including a new DPD training center. But delays are causing law enforcement organizations to speak up. They say the current DPD training facility is outdated, overcrowded, and inadequate, impacting recruitment. For example, Dallas Police Women's Association say there isn't enough showers and no lactation rooms for women. Now, funding is an issue as the city is short over $88 million for the new training facility at UNT Dallas. There are other projects the city has to consider, like street repairs and issues with City Hall. And many are just hoping that the new facility project doesn't take a back seat.
We need officers who could speak different languages, who understand the culture, and who can build a trust across the generations. But recruitment without infrastructure is an empty promise.
And City Manager Kim Tober said they might explore another safety bond program, which could take more time. The new training facility at UNT Dallas is expected to be completed in summer of 2028. In Dallas, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
A construction project has been driving customers away from one area of Frisco, but now that it's over, Main Street is ready to thrive. As Richard Solomon reports, one of its newest tenants has a bright outlook with the World Cup coming to town.
North Texas is known for its traditions.
And you can't have sports without a wing.
And now Frisco is adding one to its menu.
Anchor Bar is a staple from Buffalo, New York. They are the originator of the Buffalo wings.
You heard that right. Frisco's newest restaurant, where you can taste the original recipe. And General Manager David Lotman says it all started back in Buffalo, New York in 1964. And now that history has landed here in North Texas.
Just drop some for him, please.
And this is the first bucket in North Texas.
It's where the magic happens. Everything's been word to mouth. Location and word to mouth.
And speaking of location, it's almost as special as the sauce. Michelle Buckles says they picked this spot for its promising future.
It's right across the soccer center over there, and it's just in a perfect location.
You see, just down Main Street, the city wrapped up a part of a nearly $70 million redevelopment project, widening the roads and improving sidewalks and making the area more walkable. And with FIFA events bringing even more international visitors to North Texas, the timing couldn't be better.
I love people learning more about the Anchor Bar, and I think this is such a great location for that opportunity.
Because when customers bite into a wing, you're not just getting a meal.
The East Coast food is one of the best.
It's a piece of American food history. Now in the heart of Frisco. In Frisco, I'm Richard Solomon.
Long before she became the world's first African-American woman to earn a pilot's license, Bessie Coleman was a North Texas kid who refused to accept the limits placed on her. Janelle Ford has her story and the legacy still taking flight today.
You could miss this in a second. A historical marker outside of Waxahachie Library. The name on it is Bessie Coleman. And long before she made history as the world's first African-American woman to earn a pilot's license, she was a North Texas kid.
Bessie Coleman's story is one that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to change here at the Flight Museum. We want more people to recognize, and we've been doing a better job as a nation talking about these hidden figures.
Born in Atlanta, Texas in 1892, she was one of 13 children in a sharecropper family and grew up in Ellis County. When she decided she wanted to fly, racism and sexism weren't just obstacles, they were law. No flight school in the United States would train a black woman, so she changed her route. She learned French, saved her money, left the country, and in 1921 earned her pilot's license in France. Decades later, a 10-year-old girl found her story in a magazine.
I never saw a black pilot, black female pilot. So Bessie Coleman, literally that little article, I cut it out and put it by my bedside, and she was like my mentor. I just wanted to be like her.
And each time Nia Gilliam Wardlaw faced an obstacle in her quest to become a pilot, she used Coleman's story as motivation.
Figured if she could accomplish her goals when racism, sexism, existed legally, I could definitely accomplish mine.
Today, Nia is a captain at United Airlines, proof of something Bessie Coleman believed all along.
She made it possible for me to be where I am, and every time I go to work and I'm in the flight deck, I just know that I'm making it possible for someone else to accomplish their dreams too.
At the Frontiers of Flight Museum in Dallas, they hope others can feel this inspiration too. Their Queen Bess exhibit shining light on her career as a stunt pilot, her favorite plane, the Curtiss Jenny, hanging from the ceiling. But her dream wasn't fame. It was building a flight school for African American aviators. She died in her crash in 1926 before she could open it. That's why Nia and others are making sure her legacy lives on. In Dallas, I'm Janelle Ford.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
It is Texas News Now weather. I'm Bill Taylor with a reason to keep your eyes skyward this weekend, the Planetary Parade. Although we do have one problem, and it is called the moon. 91% full means it's going to be putting out a lot of light, and that hinders your planetary parade view. Now, this is going to be Saturday night when you're going to want to look southeast for Jupiter, south for Uranus, and then southwest for Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, Venus. Should be visible with the naked eye. But if you've got a telescope, of course, it's much, much better. You can get a look at the Jupiter moons and all. But yeah, our moon at 91% full. You always want to get away from city lights, but you can't do much about that big natural light that's going to be in the southeastern sky Saturday night. But yeah, this is pretty rare. So keep the eyes skyward on Saturday night. All right, speaking of skyward, let's check the airports for travel. The Northeast has been digging out from a historic snowstorm. It's much better now. So as you look at Friday, Saturday, maybe Miami on Saturday, and maybe back into the Northeast on Sunday for Boston and New York with pretty decent chances of precipitation. That's including Philadelphia, too. You might see some delays across the Northeast. Our weather story remains this huge dome of high pressure, the upper level cooker aloft, if you will. This is why we've been getting so much heat across Texas on this week. And, that's going to change a little bit with temperatures cooling off a few degrees over the weekend, but really staying well above average as the high stays in control. Now, this northwest flow keeps things very stable. We've got some mid and upper level moisture, but it also keeps things exceptionally warm for late February. Beginning March on Sunday, hardly seeing any weather changes until we get about midway through the week. That's when we're going to start seeing this high flatten out and move to the east. Watching in action on these upper level winds, which go to a zonal flow pattern, keeping things pretty quiet. But it does open the door for two little good waves of moisture moisture. We should expect to see some rain chances going up as we get into March. Now let's take a look at our future cast. You can see a few showers along that dry line in front on Thursday through Friday, and then a little return flow could send a few showers into South and Southeast Texas early Saturday. This is on Monday. We're North Texas into some eastern counties and right along Sabine Pass get a little bit of rain through Tuesday, and then rain chances get a little bit better as we get into midweek. Wednesday, Thursday coverage looks a lot better as we get the high out of the way and we start seeing an upper level low move in. Now, this is going to spark some pretty good showers and even some dangerous thunderstorms just to the north. It's going to be Oklahoma up into Arkansas, but for us, some of the best rain chances we've seen for a while. And notice the rainfall outlook is above average for the next 10 days. In fact, North Texas, East Texas, that is really looking good. So, seeing probably upwards of 1 to 2 inches of rain, but the entire state has got a better chance of rain than not. And that's really beneficial for at least a third of the state, which is an extreme to exceptional drought. You can see from central up through north and into West Texas, things aren't too bad. But boy, deep South Texas, it's bad. It's dry. All right, let's take a look at the extended forecast for the great state of Texas. You can see temperatures are starting to get a little more seasonal as we get into March, and that's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where I'm seeing some 70s and even some 80s, and that's not going to be too bad. But as far as precipitation goes, pretty dry-looking weekend to wrap up February and begin March. For Texas News Now Weather, I'm Bill Taylor.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A realtor is raising concerns after her clients say they paid a local contractor for renovation work and were left with little to nothing in return. Juliana Jackson spoke with the family, the realtor who brought this story forward, and the contractor himself.
For Christina Moser and her husband, a retired Army veteran, this was supposed to be a fresh start. When their tenant left, they were recommended to hire Robert Bowling, a local contractor, to renovate the home. Both parties signed a contract and work seemed to be right on schedule. So their realtor, Jennifer Huggins, went to check on the home.
Messaged us on a Friday night, said it was about 90% done, everything had been delivered, so I came out on Saturday for my clients, because they don't live in the area, to check and make sure that the house is where he said it was, and it wasn't.
A gutted kitchen, torn out flooring, demo debris still piled in the garage. The family paid Bowling $16,400 for materials and labor. When Huggins and the Moser family tried to reach him, they say he went silent.
My husband is a veteran. He is a retired veteran. He served 24 years in the Army, and we are on a limited income. And this man did this.
Yes, him as well. Yeah. So all
after Huggins went to social media, 3 other Killeen families came forward with similar stories. Together, they say they lost an estimated $25,000. 6 News reached out to Robert Bowling for comment. He called back and agreed to speak on the record. Here is what he told us.
I panicked. I thought maybe a way to take care of the situation in there and not lose money was that I would try to gamble. I like to play poker, so I tried to play some poker. I didn't do very well, and I lost the majority of the money.
Did you use the Moser family's money to gamble?
Yes.
Bowling told 6 News he underbid the job, realized he would take a loss, and says a gambling addiction he believed he had overcome resurfaced.
And I'm totally wrong. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Bowling says he intends to repay the families when he can, but says he cannot do it at this time. For the Moser family, the home they hoped would net up to $100,000 in profit sold for just $90,000. Barely what they owed on the property.
Do your research, check license and everything else before you hire anybody to do a job.
If you are looking to hire a contractor, the Better Business Bureau says do your research, get at least 3 written bids before committing, verify licenses and insurance, and always check references. Meantime, a Cameron bar owner says she's demanding answers after police officers entered her business late last Friday and asked customers to take breathalyzer tests. The owner of Cameron Beer Market says the department crossed a line, and now she wants something to be done before her and other late night businesses like hers continue to suffer.
Just before midnight Friday, 3 Cameron police officers entered Cameron Beer Market while customers were inside. Owner Crystal Evans says she had already left for the night when she heard officers were at the bar.
Sorry, one of my bartenders called me and said, hey, there are 3 police officers in here and they're breathalyzing people. I made her repeat her statement because I was kind of, why would they be in here?
Evans says she immediately called the police department and was connected to one of the officers inside.
He says we're calibrating our devices and we needed some help with customers that had already been drinking. And I did not call you, my bartenders didn't call you. Pretty much just starts laughing and they think it's a fun time. Well, I'm not laughing and my customers aren't laughing because it looks like they're targeting tables that are Hispanic origin.
She also alleges officers have been monitoring late night businesses for months, following customers after they leave and pulling them over.
Where they've been bird dogging this place, basically sitting outside, waiting for customers to leave, taking note of vehicles, how long they've been here, and then they're just pulling them over, sometimes for absolutely no reason. Sometimes they're following so close, they're trying to get these people to make traffic violations, and it's just gotten ridiculous.
Evans says she hopes something changes now, as the presence of patrol cars outside has hurt her business.
Me as a business owner, it's hurting me because I've got employees to pay, I've got bills to pay, and I can't do that if my customers don't want to come in because, again, the police department is sitting outside waiting for them. We just want the police brutality or whatever's been going on to stop and end right now.
That was Adrienne Carbajal reporting. For context, state law says breathalyzers can be used in bars when there seems to be suspicion of public intoxication, but calibration isn't a part of that process. According to drug testing companies, breathalyzers have to be calibrated step by step using air samples at specific alcohol concentrations. We reached out to the Cameron Police Department and the chief of police said no comment. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. President Donald Trump making a stop in the Coastal Bend with an appearance at the port of Corpus Christi, the nation's leading liquefied natural gas exporter and one of America's top petroleum ports. City and county leaders have spent days preparing for the high-profile appearance. That all-hands-on-deck effort includes local, state, and federal partners coordinating around the commander-in-chief's 3rd visit to our city, including a 6-hour ship channel closure as part of security protocols. Now, the visit also spotlights the region's broader energy footprint, including refineries near the port like Citgo, Valero, and Flint Hills, facilities capable of processing heavy Venezuelan crude oil. Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson says the president recognizes the role that South Texas plays in America's fossil fuel production. Another prominent stop in the Coastal Bend, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright meeting with workers and industry leaders to discuss the future of Texas energy. Wright toured Cheniere's LNG facilities, marking a milestone 10 years after the company began exporting liquefied natural gas. Now, during his remarks, the secretary said the biggest challenge facing the industry is moving American natural gas to people around the world. He praised the Cheniere team for being the #1 exporter for natural gas globally, celebrating the thousands of workers who have helped build and grow the site.
We've had somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 construction workers at this site for the last 12 years. And with Secretary Wright just signed the order for trains 8 and 9, that's going to take us through 2028.
Now, that expansion further solidifying the Coastal Bend's role in the global LNG market. Well, as ranchers across Texas remain on alert for threats like the screwworm, a professor at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, is developing technology designed to help move cattle faster and more efficiently in an emergency. Lydia Herrera shows us how it all works.
With concern about screwworms growing, Dr. Robert Wells knows firsthand how serious the threat can be.
So growing up in the valley during the early 70s, that outbreak that happened then, it was decimating. To see a cow that could be healthy one day and within less than a week could be infested and have a horrible wound or just be dead.
Now, he's taking matters into his hands with a proactive solution.
So the way the technology is going to work, it's going to be able to substitute for the lack of cowboys and lack of skilled manpower. By delivering the cattle to a certain location on a certain time, we're able to find those animals that might be in early stages of being infested by the screwworm fly or the screwworm larvae, and then we're able to go and proactively treat that animal quicker.
Dr. Wells says the cows will be directed with a collar.
We collared 57 of our fall calving herd yesterday. Last month we collared 108 of our spring calving cows. Within less than 4 days, the cows were trained to listen to the sound of the buzzer that's on the pendant, basically, that the cow wears.
Jeff Petter oversees operations at the H.R. Smith Ranch where the research is taking place.
With the influx of a screwworm, if we end up having it, we can get them grouped up, ideally get them grouped up into an area to do a welfare check on everybody.
Although this technology has been used before, Dr. Wells says now it's being used to help save cattle lives.
It can be a game changer for those ranchers that are either absentee ranchers, older ranchers, or ranchers that just don't have enough help. Unfortunately, talking to some of the ranchers in the community, we hear repeatedly, multiple times, that ranchers are saying when the fly gets here, that may be it. We may just sell our cattle and quit ranching. This technology has the ability to help ranchers stay in business.
And that is a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. Neighbors say they're frustrated by a nearby housing development that's seemingly been abandoned. Dozens of houses sit unfinished off of Wild Nolina Way, just northwest of Georgetown. Reporter Jessica Cha went out to the neighborhood to see what's going on.
Georgetown is alive with construction and development. But work on homes being built across Trumpet Drive seem to have stopped dead in their tracks.
They were building pretty quick.
Richard McGee moved into his house across the street last June, and he says there was construction then.
So they were putting the walls up and the roofs, and then suddenly it just stopped.
Neighbors say homes like this have been in various stages of development for over half a year now. And it's not just this house that looks like this. It's over a dozen that are just standing half built.
You see the roofs are falling off and kind of in disrepair at the moment.
The home builder, Onyx Homes, announced in January of 2024 that it planned to bring almost 1,000 homes to Rocking Wilco, a new development on Trumpet Drive. The $33 million project was in phase 1, with the company claiming to fully build these homes in less than 60 days, according to its website. So we called Onyx Homes CEO, Ravi Bhatt, to ask why work has stopped.
I just wanted to ask if you guys were still working on the development out in Georgetown, the one called Rockin' Wilco?
Yeah, I can't comment on that.
He directed us to the company's marketing director, who has yet to respond. But as the structures sit and wait and withstand the elements, neighbors like McGee worry about the structures becoming eyesores and safety hazards.
I'm a home inspector, so I inspect homes all the time. And after a while, if they're not supported properly on the wall side, they will start, we'll see some decay. The foundation should be fine, but obviously if you go over there and look, you can see parts of the buildings are already falling down.
KVUE also reached out to the company funding the project called Aztec Group. They also have yet to respond. A development frozen in time. In Georgetown, Jessica Cha, KVUE News.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says he's made a deal with Samsung to protect Texans' privacy. He says the company has agreed to no longer use technology that can track what viewers are watching on Samsung TVs without their consent. AG Paxton raised concerns about automated content recognition technology and sued 5 TV makers, including Samsung, in December. In a statement, a spokesperson for Samsung Electronics America told us they maintain that their original privacy policy followed Texas law and that Samsung TVs do not spy on consumers. They hope the updated privacy language will reassure customers. A new lawsuit from the Texas Attorney General is putting chest binders in the spotlight. Compression garments, state officials argue, could carry health risks for some minors. But local LGBTQ+ advocates say the conversation should center on education, safety, and access to accurate medical guidance. Here's reporter Brianna Perez.
It's about everyone having the right to wear what feels best for themselves and their bodies.
Advocates now weighing in on chest binders, compression tops at the center of a new lawsuit from the Texas Attorney General's office. The suit claims a New York retailer, Lola Olivia, sold them to young girls without warning them about potential health risks like chest pain and shortness of breath. The FDA has sent warning letters to other companies, accusing them of illegally marketing the products to minors as treatments for gender dysphoria. Asher T. with the Transgender Education Network of Texas says this is about education.
Everything can be misused under the sun, and it's about education for how to use something safely and well, and combating misinformation and fear-mongering about what those risks actually are and how likely they actually are.
He says having access to a compression top can stop people from using more dangerous DIY options.
When I was growing up as a trans guy before binders were accessible and safe, people I knew were using like duct tape and things like that. It's incredibly dangerous to community when we don't have access to safe resources.
He says it's important to know your body and your limits, like taking breaks at night, avoiding long stretches of use, and not wearing binders while working out. Local retailers who sell chest binders say their uses go beyond one community.
It's not just for trans men, it's for actors, it's for people with maybe cis men who have a little bit too much tissue in their top and they want to tone it down. It's also used for being more mobile.
When conversations like this start circulating, vendors say they tend to negatively impact sales. Still, they say it's important to continue serving the community where they can.
We cater to niche markets, so it is important, even profits aside, it's important to our community that we provide them with what they need and what they can.
And that was Brianna Perez reporting. We have reached out to retailer Lola Olivia for comment on the lawsuit. Congressman Greg Casar wants to connect the Texas power grid to the rest of the country. He reintroduced his Connect the Grid Act. It would require ERCOT, which manages the flow of electricity in Texas, to connect to the nation's other major electric grids. Congressman Casar says without a connection to the national grids, the Texas power grid is vulnerable during extreme weather. And he pointed to the winter storm in 2021 that left millions of Texans without power for days. Hundreds of people died. Several other Texas Democrats have signed on to co-sponsor the bill, including Lloyd Doggett, Jasmine Crockett, and Joaquin Castro. Congressman Casar first introduced this legislation 2 years ago, but it did not pass. In Hays County, a new focus on second chances is taking shape inside the jail. Hundreds of inmates are using education, job training, and reentry programs to prepare for life after release. Reporter Daniel Gomez introduces us to one man on that path and how these programs are helping him start over.
These are the last sounds of freedom for inmates like Gary, booked into the Hays County Jail.
Oh wow, my life was out of control. I had my thinking was out of control.
But he's choosing not to remain captive to his past.
For the person that doesn't want to better themselves, well, they're just losing out on their chance to rehabilitate themselves, to do better in life, to be productive in society.
Gary says he landed in jail for a multitude of reasons, including drug-related charges. But programs at the Hays County Jail are helping him turn things around. He's taking part in Bible study and Narcotics Anonymous.
This program is helping me to discover the true self of who I really am.
There are around 55 volunteers helping inmates through education, spirituality, and soon with skill development. Program coordinator Ray Paris says of the nearly 600 current inmates, just under 300 of them participate.
I think that if we went down to the base, all the inmates are people.
That's why Paris works to expand the programs being offered. That could include yoga, music, and English lessons. And Paris wants more inmates to take advantage.
All the programs have a purpose and a common goal.
It's public safety. Sheriff Anthony Hippolito says this approach reduces recidivism.
And you heard their mission statement, don't come back. And we're not trying to be rude. We don't want them here. We want them out being productive. We want them out there being working. We want them out there with their families.
Gary says he's not sure when he'll be out, but he is sure he'll be more free than he was coming in.
Whatever the outcome is, I'm still going to continue to do the programs wherever I go. And Hays County has showed me that these programs, they do work.
Closing the door on bad decisions to be a part of a safer society. Daniel Gomez, KVUE News.
And those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. A driver is killed after a crash on I-10 near the Dominion. Police say a work truck failed to stop and smashed into a pickup truck on the highway. Vanessa Croy has the story.
San Antonio police tell us this started as a fender bender and ended in a fatality crash. San Antonio police say it all started just before 10:30 this morning on the eastbound lanes of I-10 between Dominion and Camp Bullis. A white Ford F-250 and a black truck were involved in a minor crash in the left lane. They say the black truck pulled over and the driver of the Ford was trying to move his truck to safety. But before he could get out of the way, investigators say a work truck traveling at least 70 miles per hour plowed into the back of the Ford. The force of that impact sending both trucks careening down the highway before they finally came to a stop, hitting the black truck again. The driver of the Ford F-250 was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. Police say the driver of the work truck did not show signs of impairment, but traffic investigators are now trying to determine why he was unable to stop. The deadly crash shutting down the main lanes of I-10 eastbound for hours as crews worked to clear the scene. San Antonio police tell us the driver of that work truck was also taken to the hospital, but at last check, his condition is unknown tonight. We'll continue following this story and share any updates as we get them. For now, reporting on the Northwest Side, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
Community leaders continue to try to stop the development of an ICE detention center on the east side. Leaders from the city, county, and Congress sent a letter of disapproval to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. And this week, Bexar County Commissioner Tommy Calvert went to Washington, D.C. to get answers. Earl Stoudemire has the latest.
This month, Commissioner Tommy Calvert has repeatedly stated that they will use every legal avenue to stop this deal from happening. The commissioner said he spoke with congressional leaders who told them they are opening investigations into these ICE warehouse deals and are ready to hold hearings on Capitol Hill. The commissioner says he also spoke with national civil rights organizations like LULAC who told them they are ready to file lawsuits. Calvert says the federal courts need to be involved to stop the deal, calling it a federal overreach of power. He has already stated an environmental impact study wasn't done, which is required for these deals to happen under the National Environmental Policy Act. The commissioner is now claiming that DHS is using what's called the Worldwide Expeditionary Multiple Award Contract from the Navy. That's when a pre-approved contractor is tapped for a project. He says they're using it to quickly buy these properties.
It was appraised at $37 million. It had been vacant for 3 years.
And as a result of the deed research we did, it has been sold for an eye-popping $66.1 million. This reeks of corruption. I wouldn't be surprised if a year from now we found out that there were folks doing things under the table that were absolutely in line with kleptocracy and corruption.
Commissioner Calvert says he wants an investigation into these deals because he claims the Hunt family cut ties with the warehouse a few months before the deal happened with DHS. Calvert says the family is based in Fort Worth and added how the family was granted the contract to redevelop the Freeman Coliseum and Frost Bank Center as part of the Prop A vote in November. As for the next step, Commissioner Calvert says that he is planning to bring forward a resolution to the Commissioner's Court to further explore options to stop this deal from happening. We'll continue to follow for updates.
A San Antonio man is keeping the legacy of community radio alive. His mission started when he says he got tired of hearing the same songs over and over. This Black History Month, our Alicia Neaves shows us how his mission goes far beyond the microphone.
On WSAN Radio.
Before most of San Antonio wakes up,
I play old school R&B.
Ronald Allen Gordon is already on the mic.
I'm broadcasting live.
Every morning at 7, broadcasting from inside his home, running an online radio station built entirely from passion.
And I listen to this one station here. They played the same song 4 times in 1 hour. It's too much good music out there just to play that.
Instead of complaining, he created his own station 12 years ago.
When I found out I had 10 listeners, man, I said, somebody like what I'm doing. So I had a good time with that. Then it went up to 20, then 100. Remember that, don't you?
What began as music soon became something bigger.
Solid as a rock.
Inspired by historic Black radio stations of the 60s, Gordon launched Lounge 59, which rebranded into WSAN Radio.
I'm hoping they all come together as one community. I'm hoping the villages will be reignited.
Gordon never planned to be a broadcaster.
I had not one, but a bad stuttering problem. I was picked on, I was beat up, and I was told I would never be nothing. And when I picked up the mic a couple of times, it went away.
Now, the mic never turns off.
To talk about is relationships.
He isn't doing it alone.
Growing up in San Antonio, we had a radio station called KAPE. That's where we got all of our information.
Sharon Bell Moses hosts a weekly podcast on WSAN, spotlighting local businesses.
I tell people what's going on in San Antonio because a lot of people say there's nothing to do in San Antonio. And I'm like, I beg to differ.
For Kiana Herring, the station became something personal.
WSN Radio definitely helped me hold in on like, okay, what I actually want to do.
Together, the team goes out into the community, hosting events, helping local entrepreneurs grow visibility and opportunity.
And that's what it's all about.
Today, WSAN Radio runs daily programming, Gospel Sundays, Jazz Saturdays, local artists, and live conversations, all funded out of Gordon's own pocket.
Then we get wild Monday through Friday. From 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. it's the Ron J. Morning Show.
But his vision is bigger. He hopes to move into a permanent building with young broadcasters carrying the mission forward.
I tell it like it is and
because
everything.
For Ronald Gordon, radio isn't just sound.
On WSAN Radio,
it's service.
Your #1 R&B station in San Antonio and beyond.
Alicia Neaves, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Governor Greg Abbott, he visited Southeast Texas Wednesday as part of his Let's Roll, Get Out the Vote tour. He was in Winnie, where he was urging voters to turn out for early voting this week. At that campaign event, Abbott was joined by several state and local Republican leaders, including Texas Comptroller Kelly Hancock and Chambers County Ag Commissioner Nate Sheets. Many other Republican candidates there as well. Governor Abbott says that he is working to remind people why it's so important to get out and vote.
I'm over here in Chambers County tonight, reminding the people here about their values, and their values are on this ballot because we have people who are socialists in Harris County who want to change the way things are in Chambers County, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm trying to get Texans, whether they be in Chambers County or up in the Panhandle, to turn out and vote.
The governor's media tour, it's focused on energizing voters and highlighting Republican priorities as early voting continues through Friday.
Hey, your house on fire! Get out!
Shocking door cam video right there that you saw at the Settlers Cove Apartments, something that they never expected. As you just watched the moments that Beaumont's West End there at that apartment, as several apartments went up in flames. People, they returned Wednesday to see what was left behind. Units were destroyed, debris across the parking lot. Some, thankfully, do have a place to go, but others, they are seeking help from the Red Cross. 12 News reporter Daniela Tabuada-Palau, she spoke to residents who are trying to recover.
Hey! Hey, your house on fire! Get out!
Around 8 p.m. on Tuesday, residents of Settlers Cove in Beaumont went into panic after seeing flames. Captain Chance Abercrombie said the fire quickly grew, requiring additional crews.
Once the first chief got on scene, he realized the size of the fire and called for a second alarm. They were here approximately 6 hours from start to finish. At this time, the cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Thankfully, no one was injured, but by morning, the shock had settled in.
It was devastating, seeing something that I worked hard for.
I'm shocked and I am mad a little bit.
It was such a tragic to see everything you had burn up.
Everyone here has a different story. For Job Pedro, a student at Lamar University, this fire may mean leaving town.
I have no family here. I may go back to Houston, try to stay with some people because I'm only a college student, so I don't really got too many places to go.
For others, like single mother Darnella Cooper, the loss feels even heavier.
I have 3 boys, 1 7-year-old, 4-year-old, and I have a newborn. I have a lot of keepsakes for my babies, and all that's probably gone now.
As families now face what comes next, some, like Olivia Duggar, are finding help from the Red Cross in the midst of the heartbreak.
Thank God for American Red Cross. They are going to set us up in a motel.
And that was Daniela Tabuada-Palau reporting. The Red Cross, they were out at that complex Wednesday offering financial support to those who needed it. We have their contact information on our website as well as ways to help the victims. Well, 3 Southeast Texas Power City companies are going to have to pay fines after the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality investigated. Jefferson Railport Terminal, they've agreed to pay $20,000 for releasing more than 7,000 pounds of sulfur dioxide back in 2020. Part of their fines are going to help pay for energy efficiency program for low-income homeowners. Now, also, Orion Engineered Carbons in Orange, they're going to have to pay more than $16,000 after they released more wastewater pollution than they were allowed. Same with the Bell Oaks Water and Sewer near Beaumont. They're going to have to pay $25,000 for similar issues there in 2022.
Happy birthday to you.
And the Beaumont VA Outpatient Clinic, they celebrated a major milestone for some local heroes on Wednesday. Staff, they hosted birthday celebration for 11 World War II veterans who will each be turning 100 years old in 2026. That party had happened at the clinic's lobby where family members and VA employees, they all gathered to honor their service and sacrifice.
It feels good to have a party, real good. Very seldom you have a party, especially when you're getting older and everything. Everybody seems to forget you, but there's no forgetting with me.
Organizers say it was their way to show a small token of gratitude for a century of life and service from these World War II heroes. And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. This Black History Month, CBS 19 is honoring the trailblazers who shaped our nation's story. For one East Texas woman, preserving that history became a lifelong mission. Born in Marshall, Dr. Opal Lee, known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, helped turn a historic celebration into a national holiday. Here's CBS 19's Ayanna Aird.
Everybody in these United States needs to know our history, and not just a little part of it, but all of it.
That small part of history is where we find Opal Lee, born in Marshall, Texas, a woman who would go on to change the nation.
I was free as a bird. And in the community where I lived, everybody knew everybody else. And as children, we went from house to house, and you'd think everybody was our mother.
But when Opal and her family moved to Fort Worth at age 12, that sense of community disappeared.
They didn't want us here. And my parents sent us to friends several blocks away, and they left under cover of darkness, and those people tore our place asunder. They did despicable things.
She experienced racial hatred firsthand. A mob destroyed her family's home on June 19th, a date that would later fuel her life's mission.
I felt it was our responsibility to make people aware that Juneteenth was more than red soda water and barbecue, that people were freed, and that people still weren't free, and something needed to be done about it.
Opal Lee grew up celebrating Emancipation Day in Marshall. She was determined to make sure the rest of the country understood its significance, so she started walking and talking, even trekking 1,400 miles to Washington, D.C. to push for Juneteenth to become a national holiday. Known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, she didn't just witness history, she helped make it.
I just kept on walking and talking, and finally, we got Juneteenth as a national holiday. I could have done a holy dance, but they say when I try, I'm twerking or whatever that is.
What would you say to the younger generation with all the accomplishments that you've made here in Texas, here in the nation, as far as keeping Black history alive?
I'm wanting young people to realize that they are the ones to keep our story going, our history going, that they can't stop, but they can teach people about how we were enslaved and how hard we worked to be first-class citizens.
Miss Opal Lee is the true embodiment of resilience, unwavering determination, and a lifelong commitment to honoring and preserving the importance of Black history, proving that purpose, courage, and impact have no age limit.
To get 100 years old almost and be able to tell some young people how it used to be so that it never happens again. I'm proud as I can be.
I want to talk about something really exciting that recently happened. It's a huge accomplishment for you. Barbie, your new Barbie doll. Let's talk about that. How does that make you feel?
I tell you, Barbie is some kind of accomplishment. She's a little younger than I am. The girl don't seem to have no wrinkles.
Now Opal Lee has her own Barbie featured in Mattel's Inspiring Women series, another milestone in a life dedicated to education and activism.
But I'm proud of her. I'm so proud of her accomplishment that she has made people aware of what Juneteenth is all about. People need to know our history.
Opal says no matter what age you are, it's your country and you have a responsibility.
There's so much that needs to be done. And so, I'm gonna keep on walking and talking, and maybe somebody will listen.
An East Texas treasure. And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.